Even after the release of the recent Pacific Storm update for Battlefield 5, the game only has 16 maps in total, and it's been out for a year. Call of Duty Modern Warfare features 19 maps on release, with 2 more being added only weeks after the launch with the 1.07 update. I mean, it saddens me to say this because I have been a Battlefield player for most of my life. I can remember sitting for literally entire days in front of my Xbox playing Battlefield 3 when I was younger, but I'm simply not impressed by what DICE is putting out with Battlefield 5. I'm really not. I played Pacific Storm. It was good for a bit, but simply can't hold up to what Call of Duty is releasing, especially considering they're now launching almost, I guess you could describe it as a coup on the large scale objective focused gameplay style which Battlefield is so famous for. And I'm not saying that Ground War is going to completely demolish Battlefield Conquest game modes in terms of its gameplay and feel, but you've got to admit, a large scale objective gameplay mode with an excellent gun customization system, super deep with the skins, attachments. This is exactly what I wanted out of Battlefield 5, and I really am disappointed to say that it just hasn't delivered whatsoever. I really haven't played more than maybe 10 matches on Pacific Storm before I went back to Call of Duty. Yeah, and this is also my first Call of Duty ever. I haven't really even played before this, so it's not like I'm coming from a nostalgia point of view. It's just I'm simply looking for a good game to play, and Battlefield just isn't delivering that for me at the moment. As you can probably see from the gameplay being shown, I am not very good at Call of Duty. I'm not very good at all. But just the fact that I feel like I'm being rewarded for my gameplay, I feel like I'm being rewarded for the time that I put in with free, first of all, free skins, free gun customization. I don't have to buy some company coins from the store to get a skin. I don't have to equip one small tiny piece of my gun that's been spray painted in green to make it look better. I get an entire skin just for my gun progression and just playing with the gun in particular. And okay, so let's talk about Ground War, because Ground War does have some issues. Primarily that being the fact that you can just sit on top of a tower on Tavors district and just snipe, which is fun, you know, for the first couple of games, but then it does get a little bit much. If you want to try and play the objectives, you've literally just got to keep your eyes up looking at the top of the towers at all times, essentially, which is a little frustrating. But I suppose in comparison to Battlefield, this is a Call of Duty game. Sniper rifles are always going to be a little bit more powerful in Call of Duty because they have that one-shot kill capability to the chest rather than just the head. For those of you who don't play Battlefield, you always have to get a headshot in Battlefield, almost always, to get the kill unless your enemy's taken some damage already. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think that might just be an issue of getting used to it. Other than that, the vehicles. I think the way that they've tried to implement vehicles in this new Ground War is quite frankly horrendous. I think they really need to just be removed completely. It's called Ground War for a reason. I'd like it to be infantry focused combat. I think that would help a lot. The fact that you can get in an APC and just sit up on the top of the ridge on Cast River Quarry and just annihilate people from the other side of the map with absolutely no warning and no repercussions for you as a player. I think that's really bad and not a fun way to implement vehicles at all. Perhaps if they could be something that you have to earn a little bit more. I know you can get the APC kill streak, but quite frankly, there are so many vehicles in the game, it's not really necessary to run that. You could just go and hop in any vehicle that's at your spawn, and that's completely fine too. I think that the Call of Duty player base also not being used to vehicles and not having to really deal with them other than maybe shooting down UAVs or what have you. It's a little bit, it sticks out a little bit like a sore thumb in this game, and with this kind of crowd of people playing it who are very used to the quick, twitchy, infantry focused combat. I think Ground War could be excellent, but yeah, for me the vehicles definitely have to go. What about the next Battlefield release then? If I'm going to be so critical of this current Battlefield, maybe I should just wait for the next one. I mean, that seems like a reasonable proposition. And EA has announced a launch window, not an exact launch date, but a launch window for its next Battlefield game. It should be released sometime between April 2021 and March 2022, which in a way I think is actually a good thing for this franchise because it means that they'll be putting a lot more work, hopefully, into their next Battlefield game. In contrast, of course, to Battlefield 5, which only had 2 years of focused development after the release of Battlefield 1. The next issue that arises then, however, is what are EA and DICE actually going to do to keep Battlefield alive until the release of Battlefield 6? Considering the game's lack of originality, I think it is actually going to be very difficult for EA and DICE to introduce much more into this game to keep the player base alive, especially with, as I've spoken about, absolute bomb hits such as Call of Duty Modern Warfare coming onto the field. It will be very, very difficult, and I can't see much that is going to be something new and original that is really going to blow the socks off the Battlefield community and get them excited about Battlefield 5 again. That being said, however, the Tides of War update system has introduced essentially double the content now in Battlefield 5 than there was on release. Arguably, you could say that the content that's now in Battlefield 5 should have been how this game looked when it was released. I would agree with that statement. However, we don't know what EA and DICE have up their sleeve next, and there are still a lot of unexplored World War II battles and interesting moments that they could explore, especially weapons-wise. I feel like the game's been very, very lacking. And like I said, only 16 maps, really. Only time will tell, I suppose, with the new release coming in 2021/2022, which for all accounts should definitely be a modern shooter. I reckon. I think that going back, continuing to stay in the past with the theme of these games is definitely hurting the Battlefield series, considering there's no new ground to break. Even Call of Duty with World at War has explored many of these World War II settings, and I really think that Battlefield needs something new and fresh and exciting. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to come until the release of Battlefield 6 in 2021/2022. But to conclude, for me, Battlefield is really, really falling by the wayside now in comparison to Call of Duty. Like I said, I for my entire life I've been a Battlefield player, and I really now am not finding the same joy and excitement that I had. Even in Battlefield 1, I found was so much better than what we have now. So yeah, I will be continuing to play Call of Duty definitely, and hopefully my skills will improve somewhat. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.